the money situation, you know, your own budgetary needs. Just figure out what your budget is and then earn enough money to cover it with a little bit left over. That basically should be the strategy. And if you're macrobiotic, you're eating macrobiotically, you know, and you have to go back to the earlier episodes to where I've detailed all this. You can live on probably a tenth of what most people think they need to live, you know, and live very well. I mean, very well. So that's the whole thing. And then, of course, as I said, there's a three-part strategy. The first is you eat macrobiotically, you eat whole grains and vegetables, and you study yin and yang. And do that, you get my book, The End of Medicine, and you watch the Mobuku Chronicles. Each episode is step by step. And so you can emancipate yourself from the medical system. I haven't seen a doctor since 1975. You know, I haven't seen one. Because I know how to take care of myself. I am my own physician. And you can do that too, that by learning macrobiotic principles and philosophy and the application of those principles to cooking and facial diagnosis and all that. And it requires work. I mean, you have to study, you have to spend the time and make the effort. And essential reading is The End of Medicine. It really is essential reading. It gives you a very good start, as well as my website. So, then you buy silver and gold, depending on, you know, if you're a low net worth individual, you buy silver. If you're a high net worth, you buy 60% silver and 40% gold. And you stash it away somewhere where only you know where it is. And then the third part of the strategy, which is as important, if not more so, than the first two, is spiritual development. That is the gaining and acquisition of spiritual knowledge. Because all of life on earth has its fundamental cause in the spiritual realms. Everything that happens on earth is a symptom of spiritual realities that occur in the spiritual world bordering on this world. And we need to get to know that, get to know the entities involved, both positive and negative, and how to armor ourselves with the spiritual knowledge that we will need as a fundamental necessity, as an iron necessity, to be able to negotiate our way through the next however many hundreds of years. And this is only one lifetime of many that we've had in the past and many more to come. So it's not a matter of everything's going to happen between now and the time I die, whenever that may be. No. This is an ongoing challenge that's humanity is facing. And right now, that challenge can be summed up in the one phrase: we are confronted with or shall we say, we are obligated to confront the forces of evil. We have to get to know the devil, or the devils, as there are more than one. The dragons that wish to enslave humanity. That's who we have to get to know, because they're within our souls. That's where they reside, so to speak, for all practical purposes. And we have to get to know them and their machinations and how to balance them, so that we don't become enslaved by either one or the other or the other. There's three major ones, which I'll get into more detail as time goes on. But as I said, I mean, this is just a short episode, relatively speaking, and it is to detail the silver story, to give you the sources. As I said, Ted Butler, Another one I haven't mentioned, Harvey Organ. Go to him, Harvey Organ. And Jim Willie, subscribe to his newsletter. And Ted Butler has a newsletter, but it's like $500 a year. And I don't subscribe to it, but he has public ones, and he gets interviewed from time to time on various sites. So just, Google his name, Ted Butler, and you'll find out his stuff. He does have a lot of archive stuff on investmentrarities.com, where you can read his past stuff. And it's all archived since he started, because he was sponsored initially by Investment Rarities, which is a coin dealer located in Minneapolis. And they have a newsletter that comes out, which is, if you purchase something from them or you go to their site and sign up, you can get a free copy of that comes about once every month or so. And he has a lot of his writings are in there, so I get that. I've been getting that for a long time. And Hugo Salinas Price and Jeff Nielsen, he's on, what is it, bullionbullscanada.com. I think that's his website. But anyway, you can find them by just Googling their names. And check all these people out and read them, because they pretty much have commentary coming up at least, every 2 or 3 days on various aspects of the... Jeff Nielsen is really good. And Hugo Salinas Price, who's been trying to get silver into circulation in Mexico as a legal tender, and hasn't been able to succeed just yet. But, and as I said, the silver and gold are the enemy of the central banks of the world. They hate it. Those say hate silver and gold. But the fact of the matter is, the whole experiment that began in 1971, where no currency was backed by anything other than the full faith and credit of whatever government was issuing the currency, is coming to an end, because it's a failed, it's a phony system. It's a complete phony. And it was set up in order to make people like the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and various other individualities and entities trillionaires. That's what it was really. And, for them to control the mass media, and to control the medical system, control the education system, and to control the government, control the banks, blah, blah, blah. On and on. That's really why they are doing it, have been doing it. But it's coming to an end, and they really have no recourse other than to, as I said, pour blood into a corpse in the hope of making the corpse come alive. And that's not possible. So they're just fighting a losing battle, and they know it. And so they're desperate. So that's why the silver price and the gold price are manipulated down. They're trying to keep it down, and yet over the last 10 years the price of silver has gone from whatever it is, $4.50 an ounce, to 32 as it is right now, despite the fact that all this artillery is being thrown at it to try to keep it depressed. It hasn't worked. And the same thing with gold. In 2000 gold was $250 an ounce, and now it's $1,600. And they would be substantially higher without the collusion of the federal government and the U.S. Treasury and the Federal Reserve with the bullion banks to keep the price depressed. So that game is going to be over pretty soon, within the next 2 or 3 years, because they're simply, people are just going to say, we're not going to play the paper trail game anymore. We're just going to buy physical, and that's it. We're not interested in your paper market. And that's what's happening. People are gradually leaving it, and more individualities and entities and billionaires from Russia and Saudi Arabia and China are just amassing as much gold and silver bullion as they possibly can at these prices. I think they got a $65 billion, should we say, treasure chest to do that. So that's what's happening. So on that note, I'll close, and I hope you're having a good when you view this, because you're not going to be viewing this on Easter Sunday in 2012 AD. But so, you know, wherever you happen to be, have a good day, have a good night, have a good evening, and have a good morning, and we'll see you next time. And as I said, these are episodes, I mean, it depends on what's going on in my own life is when they come out. So, you know, this may be May, and may not be until the end of May, I don't know, it depends what happens. But anyway, the 14th episode will be forthcoming, and